Empire Daily confirms new ruthenium deposits on Madane. Supply projections revised for the next 3 centuries. Trade corridors already adjusting. Several border systems report market instability. The Directorate denies long-term consequences.
If you've made it this far, do make yourself comfortable. Welcome, Dreamwalkers. We are broadcasting to you from the Drift Gallery, suspended in the quiet middle between worlds, and today we are stepping into a system that sustains the Empire and quietly threatens it. I am Schmetterling, and as always, I am joined by the Empire's favorite uncomfortable conscience, Dr. Etherstein.
I would prefer reluctantly responsible, but continue.
Fabricator 7 speaks of Ruthenium as though it were merely a resource, but reality, it seems, flows along these particular veins. So, in this episode, we will explore the hidden role of Ruthenium in the Empire's subspace cradles, jump travel, and even the work of mystics. How a single meteor scar on Madane, carved tens of millennia ago, now dictates trade, politics, and power. The rumoured different Ruthenium, its unusual properties, the subtleties of empire negotiators, corporate influence, and holdout factions quietly shaping the future before anyone else even notices. But first off, a story to trace those veins through the Empire. Fabricator 7 has a tale for you, one that explains how Ruthenium moves silently beneath everything, unseen, unshakable.
Long before the Empire learned how to fold space, wrinkle time, or accidentally invade the wrong star system twice in one afternoon, it learned something far more important: that things need to go places. At first, they went slowly. Entire fleets crawled across the heavens like confused beetles dragging paperwork behind them. Colonies starved politely. Trade ships arrived after everyone had finished needing what they were carrying. The Empire expanded with all the elegance of a very determined glacier. Then someone found the subspace cradles. Now, subspace cradles were peculiar objects. No one knew who built them, what they were made of, or why they made the air feel slightly embarrassed. But they did one thing extraordinarily well. They made distance give up. Unfortunately, they also demanded vast amounts of energy and stability, which is where Ruthenium entered the story. Ruthenium had been known for centuries. It was useful, respectable, rare enough to be important, but not so rare as to cause immediate shouting. It powered things, reinforced things, and made engineers feel quietly heroic. But once cradle technology and Ruthenium-powered jump vessels were married, the ceremony was brief, awkward, and required several forms. The Empire did something it had never done before. It stopped being a collection of places and became a single, very large place. Colonies multiplied. Trade exploded. Borders lost their sense of direction. The Empire grew veins. Naturally, it then began to worry about whether those veins would last. Early cradle regions, the first hearts of the Empire, were almost always near rich Ruthenium deposits. This seemed sensible at the time. After all, one does not usually place one's circulatory system somewhere inconvenient. Centuries later, most of those regions are now largely depleted. Politicians argue about whether the reserves are truly exhausted or merely temporarily uncooperative, which is the Empire's technical term for, "We would very much like this to not be happening." Then Madane appeared, and everything got louder. If cradle technology gave the Empire its heart, we can say with some confidence that Ruthenium runs through its veins.
Yes, that feels medically accurate.
Uncomfortably so.
Because once you start noticing it, you see it everywhere.
Every major structure of the Empire depends on it.
Exactly, but it's not glamorous though, is it?
No, which is precisely why it is dangerous.
Yes, go on.
Weapons attract attention. Leaders attract attention. Wars attract attention. Materials decide outcomes long before anyone gives a speech. You can replace generals. You can rewrite laws. You can redraw borders. But when your circulation fails, no amount of rhetoric saves the body.
That's a chilling image.
It is a practical one.
So when people say the empire is strong,
What they really mean is the circulation is stable.
and when the circulation is threatened,
Panic becomes policy.
right, because you can survive bad leadership, you cannot survive organ failure. And ruthenium sits right in the middle of that system.
At the center of propulsion. At the center of shielding. At the center of long-range navigation. At the center of expansion.
So this episode is not really about a metal.
No, it's about the nervous system of a civilization.
Yes, that's the uncomfortable part. All right, so if that's what the empire runs on, what does it actually do? You know what still fascinates me, and honestly troubles me, is how people imagine jump travel, engines, power cores, numbers, as if the empire just built faster ships. But what it really built was a new relationship with distance itself.
Yes.
The subspace cradles were never just machines, they were interfaces. Between space, the thing pretending to be space, and minds brave or foolish enough to step between the two. And ruthenium somehow got caught in the middle of that conversation.
It is not a power source in the classical sense.
Yes, exactly. If it were, we could replace it, but we never managed to.
Ruthenium does not drive the jump. It stabilizes the conditions under which a jump becomes possible.
That is such a beautifully alarming sentence.
It interacts with cradle fields, containment lattices, the probability envelope around a vessel just before translation. Without it, the equations still work. The ship still tries.
Yes, but then the reality declines the invitation violently, which is why, of course, from the earliest jump vessels, the Empire has required mystics on board, not as ornamentation, but as navigational organs. People forget that.
I think they dislike it.
They prefer to imagine the Empire was built by engineers alone, not engineers quietly cooperating with people who could feel the shape of time in their bones. Somewhere in that strange marriage of cradle mechanics, mystic cognition, and ruthenium's very peculiar behavior, the Empire learned how to move.
Ruthenium behaves less like matter and more like a mediator between states. It doesn't just conduct energy, it conditions possibility.
Yes, which makes the political consequences enormous. Control of ruthenium isn't just control of ships or trade or weapons. It's control of where reality is allowed to happen next. And then, of course, the rumors of a different strain of ruthenium. Not better, not worse, just incompatible with the physics we've been pretending is stable.
There are always rumors.
I would love to hear your take here, Etherstein, about these specific rumors that suggest the ruthenium on Madane is a conduit between hundreds of timelines created when that meteor hit.
That research is classified.
But of course it is.
But yes, there are anomalies, and we cannot deny it. The meteor left a massive scar on Madane, reshaping the landscape and scattering metallic fragments, ruthenium among them. And there are those who propose its unusual behavior comes from the way it arrived. Almost all of Madane's ruthenium originates from that ancient impact near the southern pole. The Veil of Echoes, the orbital debris ring, still carries fragments which slowly settle into the equatorial and southern mineral belts. This, in fact, is what these new surveys are detecting.
So, the ruthenium is gradually revealing its influence, isn't it?
Exactly. And the Gargantuan Mining Corporation is moving fast. They have signed contracts with nearly every district with one exception. District 2, Radunia, is the only holdout. They insist on controlling their water tech and subterranean infrastructure.
The infamous Vapomancers, descendants of King Rudok's engineers, responsible for much of Madane's technology. They worked with what they had, fusing imperial knowledge with machinery salvaged from Madane's ruins, devising ingenious new applications for ruthenium to enhance their systems. Their quantum harvesters are now the preferred tools for nearly every desert mining endeavor. We should really make a special episode on these guys, but what about the Empire negotiators?
Negotiators have been deployed in droves. Technically impartial though, practically less so. Every meeting recalibrates power, secures trade routes, and smooths local unrest. It's a delicate dance between commerce, coercion, and subtle intimidation all in motion. And yes, an episode on Vapomancer tech would be fascinating.
So, newly discovered ruthenium deposits, local factions, corporate interests. This isn't just a mineral discovery, it's an exercise in control. Which brings us back to the big question, is relocating the central government in the cards for the near future?
Preliminary models suggest a significant probability shift within the next 2 decades.
Empires speak for they're already packing.
When circulation changes, power follows.
And when power moves, history begins to run.
This concludes the current Neural Nonsense broadcast. All statements within this episode have been verified against available historical records, economic projections, and classified technical summaries to a standard of accuracy acceptable to the Empire Archive. Discrepancies between public narrative and archival consensus remain within tolerable limits. This entry has now been officially archived, for now. However, the conclusion of this recording does not represent the conclusion of the Ruthenium narrative. Resource distributions continue to evolve. Political alignments remain unstable. New discoveries on Madane are already altering long-term projections. The story of Ruthenium is still being written, and in matters of circulation, the next movement is rarely the last. End of entry.